June 6, 1944. Omaha Beach, Normandy, France. The sea is boiling. Spray slaps hard against the steel bow of Landing Craft Infantry 91 as it bucks through gray water, the motor growling under strain. The sky is a heavy lid of clouds, no sun, only smoke and wind and the sharp taste of salt and diesel. Men pack shoulder to shoulder, helmets rattling, rifles clutched to chests, knuckles white beneath wet gloves. Private First Class Daniel Mercer, 22 years old, 29th Infantry Division, Company E. He is pressed against the starboard side, boots ankle-deep in cold seawater pooling in the craft. His stomach turns with every wave. He has not spoken for the last 3 minutes, not because he has nothing to say, but because every breath feels borrowed. The photograph is still in his left breast pocket, folded, creased, softened by months of sweat. A girl with dark hair pinned back, leaning against a wooden fence under an apple tree. Her smile is small, shy, not posed. Her name is Eliza. The coxswain yells, 90 seconds! Everything becomes louder. Engines, waves, pounding boots, whispered prayers. Mercer closes his eyes. For a moment, just one, he is back in Maryland. Sun-warm grass, her hand in his, the scent of late summer apples. Her voice, come home to me. He had said he would. He opens his eyes. The world is iron and water again. Artillery thumps in the distance. Battleship Texas, offshore, sending shells into the cliffs. Each impact throws a mountain of earth into the sky. But it doesn't feel like safety. It feels like someone punching a giant who hasn't woken up yet. 60 seconds. The man beside Mercer is Corporal Lawson, freckles, thin lips, always chewing gum he never seems to run out of. He spits into the sea now, jaw tight. Lawson mutters, don't think, just move. Don't think, just move. Mercer nods, though he cannot promise anything. 50 seconds. Bullets hiss, high and thin like angry insects. They are not even on the beach yet. 40 seconds. The ramp ahead is still up. The world beyond it is only sound. Machine guns hammering, mortars thudding, men yelling. But the ocean carries sound in strange ways. Some screams come clear as if whispered beside the ear. 30 seconds. Mercer's heartbeat is too fast. He presses a palm against his chest. He feels the photograph beneath the fabric. It is the only steady thing he has. 20 seconds. Gunfire ricochets off the bow, steel sparks. Someone curses. One man begins to sob, soft, barely audible. No one tells him to stop. 10 seconds. The boat slows. Too soon. Water too deep. They will have to wade. The ramp drops. The world becomes an explosion of sound. Sand, surf, smoke, blood, fire, chaos, all at once. Go, go, go! Mercer jumps forward, boots meeting water that rises to his waist, cold enough to steal breath. Machine gun rounds stitch the surface in front of him, tiny fountains of spray that look almost delicate, almost pretty, until a man in front of him jerks twice, collapses face first and floats, carried gently backward by the tide. Move, just move! He pushes forward, the weight of pack, rifle, ammo, grenades dragging him down. Every step fights both the ocean and fear. The beach is farther than it looked. The sand feels like another continent. He hears Lawson shouting behind him, keep moving, Danny, don't you stop, don't you... A shell hits nearby. Water becomes shrapnel. Sound collapses. Mercer hits the surf, ears ringing, world white, breath knocked out of him. When he pushes up, coughing brine, the world returns in flashes. A Higgins boat burning. A man on fire running toward the water. Barbed wire half buried in sand. Bodies already washing back into the tide. He does not remember deciding to run, but he is running. Feet pounding wet sand. Helmet ringing with each near miss. Rifle heavy in his hands. 30 feet, 20. He drops to the ground behind a half-shattered Czech hedgehog. Angular steel jutting like broken claws. Lawson dives in beside him, gasping, alive. Both men pant, staring at each other. No words left that matter. Above them, German machine guns spit fire from the bunkers halfway up the bluff. The air tastes of cordite and salt and fear. Mercer tries to breathe evenly. He cannot. His chest feels too small for his lungs. Lawson nudges him, voice rough. You good? Mercer nods. He is not good, but he is alive. The platoon sergeant crawls through the sand, shouting orders that are swallowed by wind and gunfire. Pinned. They are pinned. If they stay here, the Germans will pick them apart piece by piece. And ahead, beyond 100 yards of open killing ground, lies a low ridge. Cover. A chance. A way forward. Mercer peeks from cover. The sand in front of them erupts in little spurts where bullets strike. There is no path that is not death. His hand goes to his chest again. The photograph. It is there, still warm from his body. He breathes. He remembers her last letter. If you get scared, think of me. If you think of me, you'll remember why you have to come home. Mercer's breath steadies. Not courage, not bravery, just love, fragile and stubborn. He looks at Lawson. Lawson looks back. They both know. The sergeant shouts again, "We move on my signal!" Heart hammering, sand shaking under artillery, sea pushing bodies back and forth like discarded memory. The whistle blows. Mercer rises. Lawson rises. Dozens rise. They charge into the roar. Bullets snap past like hornets. Men fall mid-stride. The surf crashes behind them. The bunkers spit fire. The world narrows to breath and boots and momentum. Mercer does not look left or right. He looks only forward. The ridge rises. Steps away now. Steps that feel like miles. He throws himself down behind the embankment, lungs burning, hands shaking. He is alive. Lawson slides in beside him, face covered in mud and sweat. Jesus, is all he manages before collapsing onto his back, wheezing out half a laugh, half a sob. Around them, others join, some crawling, some carried, some silent forever. Mercer presses his palm to his chest. The photograph is still there. He does not take it out, not yet, not here. But he feels it, like a pulse, like a promise. Come home to me. He intends to. June 6, 1944. Just beyond the first rise of Omaha Beach. The world is still on fire. The sand behind the ridge is churned to mud, trampled by boots and stained by the fallen. The roar of artillery hasn't faded. It has simply moved farther inland. Smoke rolls low, hugging the ground like fog. The wind carries the sharp tang of cordite, seawater, and something darker that no soldier ever forgets. Private Daniel Mercer is crouched low behind the dune, chest still heaving, helmet askew, breath raw in his throat. He feels every pulse of his heartbeat in his ribs. The photograph presses soft and constant against his uniform. Lawson is beside him, wiping grit from his eyes. They said it'd be light resistance, he mutters, half bitter laugh, half disbelief. Light, like hell. No one laughs with him. Lieutenant Cranford, face streaked with black dust and sweat, crouches near the front of the group. His voice is low, steady, forced steady, the way an officer must be when every pair of eyes needs something to believe in. We move to the seawall, then we go up the bluffs, he says. We take the strong points from the rear. Artillery can't hit what they can't see. Mercer swallows. The bluffs loom above them, dark, jagged, impossibly high. Barbed wire glitters along the slopes, and the bunkers overhead spit fire into the beach below. The hill looks like the mouth of something ancient, hungry and patient. Somewhere up there are the men who are trying to kill them. Somewhere up there is the next step toward France, then Belgium, then Germany. Toward the end of this war. Mercer checks his ammunition. 30 rounds in the M1. 2 grenades, that is all. He takes one slow breath. Come home to me. Lieutenant Cranford signals. The men move. They follow a shallow depression in the land, a natural gully carved by rain and time. It's narrow, barely wide enough for 2 men. The air feels thick, as though even oxygen hesitates to be here. Every step is careful, controlled, bodies low, rifles high. Above them, machine guns chatter sporadically, searching, guessing. Dust sprays as bullets chew into the ridge overhead. But they are not seen. Not yet. Mercer moves 1 foot at a time. Sand becomes grass. Grass becomes broken earth, hard and uneven. The incline steepens. The world narrows to breath, boots, the weight of the rifle. Halfway up, a mortar shell lands too close. The blast is sudden. A deep concussive punch that rattles teeth and shudders bone. Earth showers them. Mercer's ears ring, world muted and distant. He drops, crawling instinctively. Dirt fills his mouth. He spits, choking. Someone behind him screams. Not a word, just pain. Others pull the man down, hands moving fast, practiced, desperate. Lawson grabs Mercer's shoulder, voice muffled through the ringing. "Still with me?" Mercer nods, though it's unclear who he's reassuring, Lawson or himself. They push on. At the top of the gully, the land flattens, but only barely. A tangle of thorny brush and low scrub hides the approach to the first bunker. They can hear the machine gun firing, sharp, rhythmic bursts, just beyond the brush line. The sound is so close it vibrates in the chest. Cranford signals the squad to hold. The lieutenant removes his helmet just long enough to wipe his brow. He looks at each man, 1 second each. A silent count. A silent promise. He points at 3 men, Mercer, Lawson, and a lanky kid named Brewer with glasses fogged under his helmet. "You're the first team. We get close. Grenades in. Suppress. Then we move in pairs. No hesitation. Understand?" Mercer nods. Lawson's jaw tightens. Brewer swallows hard but nods too. Cranford's voice is barely above a whisper. "This is the part that matters. This is where we take back the beach." The brush scrapes against their uniforms as they crawl forward. Slow, inch by inch, breath shallow. The ground smells of crushed grass and gunpowder. The bunker is close now, gray concrete, rough and scarred, half buried into the hillside. Smoke stains streak the firing slit where the MG-42 barrels protrude. Mercer can hear the German voices inside, shouting, sharp, urgent. He does not know the language, but fear sounds the same in any tongue. Cranford's hand rises. Mercer pulls the pin from his grenade. Lawson does the same. 3, 2, 1. They throw. The grenades arc, small, silent, almost gentle in their flight, and disappear into the dark mouth of the bunker. The explosions come fast, deep, bass-heavy, echoing inside concrete. Cranford shouts, "Move!" Mercer surges forward, rifle up, boots slipping in loose dirt. The machine gun has stopped. Smoke pours from the bunker entrance. 2 German soldiers stumble out coughing, eyes red, rifles half raised. Lawson fires. 3 shots, sharp and sure. Both men fall. Brewer rushes the entrance first, too fast. Inside, another German soldier, ears ringing, weapon raised at instinct, fires blind. The shot catches Brewer in the chest. He collapses, body folding in on itself, glasses knocked loose, rolling into the dirt beside Mercer. His helmet tilts, his eyes wide and uncomprehending. Mercer freezes, just for a second, 1 second too long. Lawson grabs his uniform, dragging him back to motion. "Danny, move!" Cranford charges into the bunker. Mercer follows. Inside is cramped, hot, loud. Smoke stings the eyes. Bodies on the floor. A half-toppled ammo crate. The machine gun still smokes, 1 barrel warped from heat. Cranford sweeps left. Mercer sweeps right. No movement, no breath but their own. The strong point is taken. Outside, the wind shifts. The sound of battle moves farther up the ridge. The sea is a distant roar. The sky seems larger than before. But Mercer is staring only at Brewer. He drops to his knees, hands trembling as he reaches for the young soldier's hand. Brewer looks at him, or through him. It's impossible to tell. Blood soaks into the earth. Mercer presses his palm against Brewer's chest, not to stop the bleeding, not anymore, but to keep him there for 1 more moment. Lawson kneels beside them, voice low. "Stay with us. Hey, stay with us." But Brewer's eyes soften, and then still. Silence follows, not the absence of sound, but a hollowing of it. Mercer's hand goes to his own chest again. The photograph, warm, steady, alive. He closes his eyes. Just 1 breath, then another. He stands. Cranford calls, "We move. The next strong point is 300 yards north. We take it before they bring reinforcements." The men gather, fewer than before, weary but unbroken. Mercer lifts his rifle. Lawson places a hand on his shoulder, rough, brief, understood. They move again, up the hill, into the smoke, toward the sound of war. The photograph stays with him, soft, real, a promise. Come home to me. The only way is forward. June 8, 1944, near Colleville-sur-Mer, Normandy countryside. 2 days have passed since the beach. The world is green here, green in a way Mercer did not expect. Grass heavy with dew, wheat swaying in long, rippling sheets under the wind. Birds still sing above ruined farmhouses and broken stone walls. It would almost resemble home, he thinks, if not for the scent of smoke that never leaves the air. They are deep in hedgerow country now, the bocage. Walls of earth and twisted roots, centuries old, rising as high as a man's shoulders and thick as a barricade. The land here is a maze, fields divided by living fortresses of thorn and stone. Every 100 yards is a world separated from the next. Every hedgerow could hide a rifle, a machine gun, an entire squad. It is a place designed for patience and ambush. The men of Company E move slowly, carefully, hunched low. Their boots are caked with mud. Their uniforms are stiff with sweat and dirt. Their eyes dart at every rustling branch. Lawson walks just ahead of Mercer, helmet tilted low, jaw working a piece of gum that long ago lost its flavor. "You know," Lawson mutters, voice low. "Back home, my grandfather grew hedges like this along the orchard. Never thought I'd see the day I'd want to set one on fire." Mercer breathes out something close to a laugh. Not because it's funny, but because it's human. And human is rare out here. They stop at a crossroads where a lane cuts through 2 high hedges. Lieutenant Cranford kneels beside the map case spread on the dirt. "German patrols use these roads. They know we have to cross them," he says. "We move fast. No bunching." He points toward a cluster of stone farm buildings in the distance, roofs sagging where artillery found them 2 days prior. "That farmhouse is our next staging point, likely occupied. We clear it." The men nod. No one argues. No one asks how many Germans. Questions only make fear louder. Cranford signals. They move. The first crack of rifle fire comes from the hedges. A German sentry unseen in the green. The bullet snaps past Mercer's ear. Close enough to feel the air move, close enough to know how little separates breath from silence. The squad dives into the ditch. Dirt sprays. Someone curses. Mercer does not think, just moves. He slides behind a gnarled tree root, rifle shouldered. The hedgerow ahead is a wall of leaves and branches, but he sees the flicker of movement. A sleeve, a barrel, a silhouette. He fires. A short, sharp recoil. A shout from the hedge. Lawson fires too. The Germans break first. 2 figures sprinting back through the gap. The Americans rush forward before they can regroup. Boots pound earth. Mercer feels his heartbeat in his teeth. The hedgerow opens into a small clearing of flattened wheat. Ahead, the farmhouse stands grim and tired. Pale stone, roof missing half its tiles, a barn half collapsed beside it. The front door hangs off one hinge. Silence, which is worse than gunfire. Cranford raises his hand. Mercer, Lawson, and another man, Staff Sergeant Ames, approach the farmhouse first. The floor inside is covered in broken crockery and spent cartridges. A table overturned. A kettle still hanging over cold ash in the hearth. Someone lived here, not long ago, and left in a hurry. Then Mercer sees it, a boot heel half visible behind the doorway to the kitchen. He signals silently. Ames nods, stepping wide. Mercer moves first. He swings around the doorway, rifle up, fingers steady. A German soldier lies slumped against the cabinet. Young, barely older than Brewer. A bandage on his thigh soaked through with blood. His rifle lies beside him, untouched. His hands rest open on his knees. His eyes meet Mercer's. There is no weapon raised, no fight in him, only exhaustion. Mercer lifts his rifle a little higher because training demands it. The German shakes his head, very small, not pleading, just tired. Lawson steps up behind Mercer, sees the same. "We're not medics," Lawson murmurs, but his voice is rough, not uncaring, worn. Ames enters behind them. "Take his weapon. Leave him water. We move." Mercer hesitates. The war has been a roar, a blaze, a storm, and here is something quiet. He reaches into his canteen pouch and sets the metal cylinder beside the German's hand. The young soldier looks at it, then at Mercer, and nods once. Just once. Mercer's throat is tight as they move on. Outside, the squad regroups. The farmhouse is secure. They rest in the shade of the wall. No one speaks of the man inside. Instead, they eat rations, canned meat, hard biscuits softening against the tongue. Water is swallowed sparingly. Cigarettes are lit, smoke curling lazily. Mercer leans against the stone, helmet tipped back just enough to feel a breeze. The photograph rests in his hand now, not fully removed, just edges visible. Eliza's smile, her hair pinned back, her eyes steady and bright. Lawson watches him from the side, not unkind. She's pretty. Mercer tucks the photograph back gently. Yeah, girl like that's reason enough to duck when bullets come, Lawson says, blowing out smoke. Reason enough to stand up when they tell you to. Mercer nods. He knows. He knows, too, that not everyone here has something to return to. Some fight because they must. Some because they're told. Some because they don't remember what life was before this. But Mercer has a thread tied to him. Soft, strong, pulling him home. They move again before the sun reaches its peak. Down another lane, past another hedgerow. Toward another field, the Germans have no intention of giving up. The war does not happen in grand movements here. It happens hedge by hedge, yard by yard, breath by breath. As they advance, the wind shifts and carries the distant thunder of artillery further east, toward the unseen horizon, where thousands of other men are fighting their own battles in this same sprawling green maze. There will be more fields to cross, more houses to clear, more names to remember, more to forget. But Mercer walks with his head steady. The photograph rests against his heartbeat. Warm, a compass pointing home. Come home to me. He intends to. June 12, 1944, near Saint-Laurent-sur-Mer, Normandy. Late morning. The air is thick with humidity and gun smoke. The battalion has pushed nearly 5 miles inland, but the progress feels measured in inches instead of distance. The Germans are not retreating. They are trading ground only when forced, turning every pasture, every stone wall, every barn into a defensive position. The land is beautiful and brutal all at once. Ahead of Company E stretches a small apple orchard, rows of gnarled trees heavy with young green fruit. Beyond the orchard lies a modest manor house of pale limestone, its roof peppered with shell holes. It looks peaceful, silent. But silence here means only one thing. Someone is waiting. Lieutenant Cranford crouches behind a fallen tree trunk with Mercer, Lawson, and the squad leaders. The orchard stretches out before them, its neat rows forming long corridors of partial cover and easy ambush. Cranford spreads the map across his knee. Recon says MG-42 nest in the house's second-floor window, likely riflemen in the orchard itself. Could be a full platoon dug in. He draws a rough line along the rows of trees. We move in staggered teams. Fire in advance. If they open up, you hit the dirt and crawl to the nearest tree trunk. Do not, he looks at each of them, one by one, run back. Everyone understands. Retreat in the open is death. Mercer tightens his helmet strap. The orchard looks familiar, not by memory, but by heart. He can see Eliza in a place like this, her laughter in the air, her hair catching the late summer light. He wonders if this orchard once held laughter too. If someone once leaned against these trees and dreamed. The whistle blows. They rise. The first few steps are quiet. Grass brushing boots, breath steady, rifles held low. The orchard smells of sap, fresh leaves, and distant smoke. A soft breeze rustles the apples overhead. Then, a muzzle flash from the manor window. A crack of rifles from the left flank. The orchard erupts. Mercer dives behind the trunk of a tree, bark scraping his cheek. Bullets shred leaves overhead, splinter branches, tear apples loose, sending them thudding into the earth. Lawson hits the ground beside him, cursing, flipping his rifle to semi-auto, firing short bursts through the foliage. "Can't see a damn thing," Lawson shouts. This is the Germans' home field. They know how to turn beauty into a killing ground. Mercer crawls forward, hands and knees moving over damp soil. Bullets hiss above him so close he can feel the air shift. He reaches the next tree, then the next. The orchard turns into a series of lunges and breaths. From somewhere up ahead, Sergeant Ames yells, "Suppress the window!" Mercer rolls behind the fourth tree and sights up the manor house. The second-floor window is a dark void. Only the faint smoke of machine gun bursts gives it away. He squeezes the trigger. The M1 cracks. Glass shatters. The MG-42 falters, only a half second, but enough. Ames and two others dash forward to a stone wall that borders the orchard. One makes it. One does not. Mercer doesn't watch the fall. He can't. He keeps firing. Lawson tosses a smoke grenade into the row. White vapor blooms between the trees, soft, cloud-like, disorienting. The world becomes dappled shadows and drifting mist. "Advance," Cranford calls from behind. They do. Mercer sprints now, bent low, using the smoke as cover. Dirt kicks under his boots. The orchard blurs. Tree trunks, apples, smoke, breath, heartbeat. He reaches the stone wall and presses himself against it, chest pounding. Lawson slides in beside him, breathing fast, helmet askew. Ames points toward the manor. "We flank along the outside wall. Stay low. Watch the windows." They move into the open again, this time along a narrow gravel path beside the orchard fence. The manor looms ahead, larger now, its windows like dark, watching eyes. Bullet holes pepper its facade like pockmarks. A door on the side bursts open. A German soldier steps out, rifle raised, eyes wide at the sight of Americans closer than he expected. Lawson fires first. The German falls. No time to speak, no time to think. They reach the manor wall. The stone is cool against their backs, rough under shaking hands. Cranford signals with two fingers. Stack. Entry. Mercer takes point. He does not want to. But he does. Lawson behind him. Ames behind Lawson, Cranford covering. Mercer grips the doorframe. Takes one breath. Two. He kicks. The door swings open. The room is dim, the air thick with dust and cordite. A German soldier inside swings his rifle up. Too slow. Mercer fires. The man crumples. Footsteps upstairs, shouting, boots on creaking floorboards. They sweep the lower level fast. Hall, kitchen, dining room, broken plates, a table overturned, a photograph still hanging crooked on the wall, a family smiling in better days. Cranford gestures up the staircase. Mercer leads, step by slow step. Each stair creaks loud enough to feel like a signal flare. At the top, a hallway stretches left and right. Then, a muzzle flashes from a doorway on the right. Mercer drops. The bullet slams into the banister behind him, splintering wood. Lawson steps forward, sidearms a fragmentation grenade through the open door. Frag out! The explosion shakes the walls. Dust rains from the ceiling. Someone inside screams, then stops. They move in. The room is small. Smoke stings their eyes. Two bodies lay amid shattered furniture. The MG-42 lies overturned, barrel glowing dull red with heat. Silence again. Not peace, just the absence of noise. Cranford exhales. Manor secure. They move to the windows overlooking the orchard. Outside, the company is advancing through the last rows of trees. The firing slows. The shouting fades. Mercer feels the weight of his chest lighten. Not relief, but release. The kind that comes after you survive something you weren't sure you would. His hand goes to his breast pocket. He takes the photograph out for the first time since the beach. Eliza, smiling under the apple tree, hair pinned back, eyes bright. He leans his forehead gently against the cool stone wall. Lawson stands beside him quietly, not speaking, not needing to. The orchard outside is scarred now, branches shattered, apples crushed, bodies still. But the trees still stand. They always stand. Mercer breathes, slow, steady, alive. Come home to me. He intends to. June 18th, 1944, near the village of Trevière, Normandy. Evening settles slow, like ash drifting through the air. The orchard has been left behind, but the war has no borders here. Every pasture is scored with tank tracks. Every farmhouse smells of smoke and damp stone. And yet, as the sun sinks, the fields glow with gold, the kind of gold usually reserved for places untouched by violence. It is a cruel beauty, a reminder of what the world should be and what it has become. Company E has taken shelter in what remains of a small dairy farm, stone barn walls still standing, though the roof has collapsed. The cows are gone. Only hoof prints remain in trampled mud. A single wooden milk pail sits overturned near the trough, as if dropped hastily, abandoned mid-morning chore when war arrived. Cranford has allowed a slow evening. No marching, no assault, no orders beyond watch rotations and quiet repairs. The men settle wherever they can, against walls, under half-roofs, beside broken timber. Mercer sits with his back to a pile of hay that smells faintly of summer. The light filters through a hole in the barn wall, dust motes drifting like stars. He removes his helmet, sets it beside him, and pulls out a small writing pad, pages damp at the corners but intact. The photograph is beside it, face up. Eliza smiles at him in the fading light. He begins to write. The pencil trembles slightly, not from fear now, but from exhaustion that lives deep beneath bone and memory. June 18th. I am safe today. We found a quiet place to rest, even if only for a night. The air smells like apples and wet earth. If you were here, I think you'd say it reminds you of early autumn, when the nights get cooler and the harvest is almost ready. I haven't seen a real bed in weeks, but I'm getting used to that. I keep your picture with me. It is held together better than I expected. I think maybe because I keep it close, like something alive. I hope you're safe. I hope the farm is quiet. I hope you stand in the orchard sometimes and remember me. He stops, staring at the paper. What does one say about the things he has seen? The orchard, Brewer, the German soldier with the bandaged leg, the manor hallway where dust fell like snow after the grenade. There are no words that belong in a letter. There are truths that must wait. He continues. We keep moving. Some days it feels like the war is endless, like the hedgerows stretch on forever. But we keep going because we have to, and because I want to come home. I think of you every time we stop marching. When I wake, when I eat, when we take cover, when we advance, you're there. I don't know if that makes things easier or harder. Maybe both. I'll write again when I can. Daniel. He does not sign love. He doesn't need to. It is everywhere between the lines. He folds the letter carefully and tucks it into his pack. It may be days before a courier collects mail. It may be weeks before she sees it. But writing it makes something inside him settle, like earth after a tremor. Nearby, Lawson is stripping and cleaning his rifle, hands moving on instinct. The gum is gone now. His jaw works only habit. You write to her every day? Lawson asks, not looking up. Mercer nods. When I can. Must be nice, Lawson says. But there is no bitterness there, just quiet. Mercer glances at him. Anyone waiting for you? Lawson stops working for a moment. His gaze drifts out through the broken barn roof where a sliver of darkening sky is visible. There used to be, he says, before I shipped out. He doesn't explain. Mercer doesn't ask. Some stories are wounds, opened only when they must be. They sit in silence for a while, the kind of silence that feels like shelter, not emptiness. From outside the barn comes the soft murmur of voices, men talking in low tones. Someone hums a tune, slow, steady, familiar, a lullaby carried across a farmyard once full of life. Cranford moves among them, checking wounds, equipment, morale without announcing that's what he's doing. He pauses near Mercer and Lawson. We move at first light, Cranford says. German armor reported near the crossroads east of here. Could be probing for a counterattack. Mercer nods, tucking the photograph back into his breast pocket. The gesture has become part of him now, like breathing. Cranford notices but says nothing. He only rests a hand briefly on Mercer's shoulder before moving on. The barn grows dim. A lantern is lit. Shadows lengthen like memories across the walls. Mercer lies back in the hay, staring up at the exposed beams and the rectangle of darkening sky. Stars are beginning to appear, faint pinpricks blurred by smoke still lingering in the air. He closes his eyes. Sleep, when it comes, does not come clean. He dreams of the orchard. But the orchard is quiet this time, sun filtering through branches. Apples warm, not shattered. He is walking between the rows. Eliza is there, leaning against a tree, exactly as she is in the photograph. Hair pinned back, smile small, hands clasped loosely in front of her. She looks up as if she always knew he was coming. You came home, she says. But the words echo wrong, like sound in a stone church. Mercer reaches for her, but the orchard dissolves. Smoke rolls in, the air turns sharp, a gunshot cracks. He wakes. The barn is dark, the lantern has burned low. A single lamp by the door casts a faint amber glow over sleeping forms. The sound that woke him is real. Mortar, distant, but growing. Then, the alarmed whisper of sentries outside. Movement, east field. Lawson jolts upright beside him, grabbing his rifle before fully conscious. Cranford's voice cuts through the dark, quiet but urgent. Positions, now. The men move with practiced speed. Sleep drops away like a loose shell casing. Helmets on, rifles loaded, packs left where they are. No time. Outside, the night air is cool. The moon glows pale behind drifting clouds. The fields stretch out in silver and shadow. The mortar thumps again, closer, closer. Cranford signals for a defensive line along the low stone fence. Mercer and Lawson drop behind it, pressing their bodies close to the earth. The grass is cold, the air smells of wet soil and fear. From the tree line ahead, shapes begin to emerge, dark, moving, methodical. German infantry, advancing silently. Mercer feels his pulse slow, not from calm, but focus. The world narrows to the space in front of him. Breath in, breath out. His hand brushes his chest. The photograph is still there. Come home to me. He grips his rifle. Cranford whispers down the line. Hold. The German line draws closer. Boots flatten grass. Shadows take shape into men. Hold. Rifles lift. The night holds its breath. Hold. A German flare arcs into the sky, explodes into harsh white light, turning night into day. Cranford's arm drops. Fire! The fields explode in flame and thunder. Mercer fires, Lawson fires, the line roars to life. The war has found them again. June 18th, 1944. Treviere outskirts. Night turned to fire. White flare light stains the fields in unearthly color. Too bright, too sharp, like daylight reflected off bone. Every blade of grass stands still and colorless. Shadows stretch long and black, and in that white-blue glare, the German soldiers are suddenly, terribly clear. Moving low, rifles raised, helmets glinting. The crack of gunfire becomes a solid wall of sound. Mercer braces the butt of his M1 against his shoulder. Sight picture steady, trigger squeezed, not yanked. The first German drops. He shifts aim, fires again. The rifle's action cycles smooth, warm, almost familiar now. A rhythm forms. Exhale, aim, fire. Lawson beside him fires in faster bursts, more desperate, more angry. His jaw is clenched tight, teeth grinding. Brass casings pile in the grass. German mortars whistle overhead. One lands behind the barn. A dull whoomp followed by a rush of orange flame, sparks scattering like fireflies. Men shout, orders, warnings, prayers, all tangled. Cranford runs the line, crouched low, voice carried just enough to reach those who need it. Keep spacing. Watch your flanks. They're testing for weak points. Testing, probing, not a full assault. Not yet. This is the part of the war that never makes it into photographs. The slow, grinding, exhausting push of men in the dark, feeling for each other by muzzle flash and instinct. Mercer reloads. 8 rounds click into the chamber with a clean ping. Mercer braces the butt of his M1 against his shoulder. Sight picture steady. Trigger squeezed. Not yanked. The first German drops. He shifts aim, fires again. The rifle's action cycles smooth, warm, almost familiar now. A rhythm forms. Exhale, aim, fire. Lawson beside him fires in faster bursts, more desperate, more angry. His jaw is clenched tight, teeth grinding. Brass casings pile in the grass. German mortars whistle overhead. One lands behind the barn. A dull whoomp followed by a rush of orange flame, sparks scattering like fireflies. Men shout, orders, warnings, prayers, all tangled. Cranford runs the line, crouched low, voice carried just enough to reach those who need it. Keep spacing. Watch your flanks. They're testing for weak points. Testing, probing, not a full assault. Not yet. This is the part of the war that never makes it into photographs. The slow, grinding, exhausting push of men in the dark, feeling for each other by muzzle flash and instinct. Mercer reloads. 8 rounds click into the chamber with a clean ping. Another flare rises, casting the field into harsh light again. And now Mercer sees them clearly. A second German squad advancing on the right using a drainage ditch for cover. "Right flank," Mercer calls, voice cracking through smoke. "Ditch, 2 squads." Cranford snaps his head toward Mercer, sees the movement, signals instantly across the line. "Shift fire, right flank, take them before they break the ditch." The Americans adjust. No confusion, no hesitation. Training, fear, and survival have carved reflexes deep. Lawson grabs Mercer by the sleeve, yelling through the chaos, "We need to push forward or they'll pin us in." Mercer nods. They slip from behind the wall, keeping low, boots sinking in wet grass. The night is alive with motion, shadows lurching, muzzle flashes blazing like angry stars. They bound forward in quick bursts. Run, drop, aim, fire. Run, drop, aim, fire. The mortar fire thickens. Thump, whistle, impact, each explosion shaking the chest, rattling teeth. Dirt rains down. Leaves flutter from trees like dying birds. A shell lands close. Too close. The blast flings Mercer sideways, his ears ringing, vision washed white. He hits the ground hard, breath ripped from his lungs. For a second, just one, there is no sound. Just thick silence. A silence like deep water. Then the world slams back in. Gunfire, screams, shouting, the sharp tang of burning grass. Mercer pushes himself up, hands shaking. His helmet is gone. His rifle lies half buried in soil. He crawls, grasping, fingers closing around the stock. Lawson appears in the flare light, face smeared with soot and dirt, eyes wide. "You good?" Lawson asks, shouting to be heard. Mercer nods. He isn't sure if it's true. They move again. Ahead, the German advance is slowing, hesitating under the American counterfire. Some fall back into the ditch. Others drop where they stand. But this is not over. A new sound rises in the distance, deep, metallic, unmistakable. Treads. German armor. A panzer. Maybe 2. The sound grows louder. Churning earth, grinding stone. The night air thickens with the mechanical growl of engines built to break through lines exactly like this one. Cranford turns, voice steady but urgent. "Bazooka team, forward! Take position by the barn." PFC Klein and Private Dawson, young, tired, both with faces too soft for this kind of night, sprint toward the collapsed barn, carrying the long, awkward tube between them. Mercer and Lawson provide covering fire, shooting at shapes moving behind the advancing tank. The Panzer breaks the tree line, dark, angular, looming like a beast built from shadow and steel. The flare light glints off its armor. The barrel sweeps left, then right, seeking. A shell fires. The barn wall explodes in a cascade of stone and splinters. Klein and Dawson dive behind a trough, alive but shaken. "Now, get it now!" Cranford roars. Klein shoulders the bazooka. Dawson loads the round, hands trembling but sure. The Panzer turns toward them. Too late. The bazooka fires, a streak of flame and smoke. The rocket strikes the tank's side just behind the forward treads. A hollow boom. Armor buckles. Smoke bursts from the vents. The Panzer shudders, stalls, stops. A cheer rises, raw, ragged, desperate. But there is no time to celebrate. The German infantry begins to fall back, organized, controlled, not routed. This was not an attack to win ground, it was to measure American strength here. And they have what they came for. As the last flare flickers out, the night returns. Not quiet, just dark. The shooting slows, then stops. Only the crackle of burning grass remains. Mercer collapses behind the stone fence again, chest heaving. His whole body trembles, not from fear but from the sheer violence of surviving. Lawson sits beside him, dropping his rifle, wiping his face with a shaking hand. "Jesus Christ," he whispers. Mercer doesn't answer. He reaches into his pocket. The photograph is there, smudged, creased, but whole. He presses it to his chest, not to look at it, but to feel it. "Come home to me." He closes his eyes. Lawson notices, watches, doesn't speak. Cranford moves along the line, counting silhouettes in the dark. Some are missing, some will never rise, but most are here. He nods, once quiet, resolute. We held. The words are simple, heavy, true. They held. The night belongs to them now. But dawn is coming, and dawn means marching again. And war does not care who needs rest. June 24th, 1944. Approaching La Cam, Normandy. The morning fog is thick, milk pale, heavy, still. It clings to the ground like it refuses to let the night go. The countryside is quiet now, not peaceful, just waiting. Birds do not sing. Even the wind seems to hold its breath. Company E marches along a narrow dirt road flanked by tall hedgerows. Boots sink into soft mud. Helmets drip with dew. Faces are leaner now, eyes darker, words fewer. There is a rhythm to their steps, slow, steady, the rhythm of men who know the day will ask more from them than they have to spare. Mercer walks near the middle of the column, Lawson beside him, same as always. Their shoulders occasionally brush, a silent check, a constant reassurance. Cranford leads, map case under one arm, rifle over the other. His gait is stiff now. He has begun to carry weight in the way men do only after they've memorized every name of the fallen. The crossroads ahead is their target, a small junction where two hedge-lined lanes meet under a crooked oak tree. Intelligence says German infantry retreated through here during the night. What remains is uncertain. Uncertainty is worse than danger. Danger is something a man can face. Uncertainty is something he must imagine. The squad halts at the bend in the road. The fog is thickest here. Vision no more than 20 yards. Cranford signals for scouts. Mercer and Lawson move forward, crouched, rifles raised, breaths controlled. The air smells of damp leaves and distant smoke. The crossroads comes into view gradually, like a photograph developing in slow water. A pair of abandoned German helmets lie in the mud. A bicycle with a bent wheel leans against the ditch. A shovel half buried in earth. Paper scraps caught in grass. A single coffee tin left on a flat stone, still blackened with soot. Someone left in a hurry, but not long ago. Mercer raises a hand, silent signal back to Cranford. The company fans out along the hedges. The fog thickens. The world becomes small, close, suffocating. A branch snaps behind the hedge to the right. Lawson tenses. Mercer freezes. No one speaks. Cranford lifts one hand, every man watching that single raised palm. Then, a voice in German, soft. 2 words, too close. The hedgerow erupts. Gunfire rips from the foliage, muzzle flashes bright and close. Bullets tear through leaves, bark, air. The Americans drop instantly, training and terror acting as one. Mercer lands hard, cheek against wet earth, rifle already aimed. Shapes move in the hedge, a blur of gray-green uniforms. German paratroopers, Fallschirmjäger, elite, hard fighters. They don't run. They don't break. They ambush this crossroads for a reason. The air fills with sharp cracks and heavy thumps. Rifles, machine pistols, grenades thrown blind into fog. A German soldier breaks from the hedge, shouting, charging. Mercer fires once, center mass. The man stumbles, collapses. Mercer moves before the thought forms. Lawson is behind him, firing measured bursts, steady, controlled, fear in motion and discipline made flesh. Cranford shouts, "Push left, flank the trees, move!" They move. Mud splashes. Fog swirls. The hedgerow becomes a wall of thorns and shadow. The Germans fall back just yards ahead, firing, moving, firing again. A professional retreat. They are trying to draw Company E deeper. Mercer knows it. Cranford knows it. They follow anyway. Because stopping means death. Because forward is the only direction war understands. They break through the hedge into a field. A farmhouse stands at the far end. Whitewashed walls, slate roof, shutter hanging loose. German machine gun in the upstairs window. It opens fire. The first burst cuts across the field in a clean, brutal line. Ames goes down instantly. No sound, just a sudden absence where a man had been. Lawson drags Mercer behind a small stone well. Stone chips fly as bullets strike. Dust coats their lips. The machine gun is loud enough to feel in the ribs. "We can't stay here," Lawson shouts. Mercer nods, but his breath is ragged. His hands shake. Then he feels it. The photograph, warm, steady, anchoring. He exhales. And everything narrows to a small, still point. The farmhouse window, the machine gun, the distance, the moment. "Smoke grenade," Mercer says. Lawson already has one in his hand. They move on instinct. Lawson pulls the pin, throws. The canister clatters, hissing. White smoke pours out, thick and billowing, rolling across the field like slow fog. Cranford sees it. He signals. The squad rises. Not all, not fast, but enough. They advance through the smoke. Machine gun tracers tear glowing lines overhead, guessing now, not aiming. Mercer reaches the farmhouse first, slamming his shoulder into the wall, body pressed flat, breath burning. Lawson joins him, panting. They look at each other. No speech, no plan, just survival. Mercer goes in. The hallway is narrow, dark, smelling of dust and old bread. Boots pound the wooden stairs. Mercer follows. Lawson follows Mercer. The house creaks like an old ship. The machine gunner is reloading when they burst into the room. He looks up, surprised, hands fumbling at the belt feed. Mercer fires. The shot echoes too loud in the small room. Silence follows. Not peace, just silence. Back outside, the gunfire slows. The Germans are pulling back. Again. The field is theirs. The crossroads is theirs. Cranford stands in the settling smoke, chest heaving, face streaked with dirt and blood that may not be his. He looks at Mercer. Just looks. There are things officers don't say. Things soldiers understand without speech. Mercer nods. They held again. But the cost is always there. Ames is still in the field, covered now with a poncho that hides everything except the outline of a man who once walked with them. Lawson sits beside the well, shoulders slumped, cigarette shaking between fingers. "We keep trading pieces of ourselves for a few feet of dirt," he says, voice hardly a whisper. Mercer lowers himself to the ground beside him. The fog is thinning. The sun will rise soon. His hand goes to his pocket. The photograph. Soft, folded, steady. He looks at it now. Eliza under the apple tree, her smile small, her eyes gentle. He doesn't cry. Not here. Not now. He just breathes. "Come home to me." He intends to. But the war is far from done, and Normandy is only the beginning. June 28, 1944. Approaching St. Lo, Normandy. The heat has arrived. Not the pleasant warmth of summer back home, but the heavy, smothering kind that sticks to the skin and fills the lungs like cotton. The rain has tapered off for now, leaving the ground a patchwork of dry cracks and deep mud. Every step along the road pulls at their boots. The dust rises in pale clouds around their ankles, coating uniforms already stiff with sweat. The land around them is broken. Fields cratered by artillery, hedgerows shattered by tank fire, barns collapsed under mortar strikes. Yet wildflowers still push up between rubble and churned earth. Bright yellow. Persistent, defiant. Mercer walks behind Lawson, Cranford somewhere ahead with the lead squad. The march is slow, burdened, but there is direction. St. Lo, a name that has begun to carry weight, spoken in mess tents among armored columns, whispered by tired officers studying maps by lantern light. St. Lo controls the road network of Normandy. To take it is to open France. But the Germans know this too. St. Lo is dug in deep. The men feel it, in the silence between footsteps, in the way eyes linger on the horizon. Around midday, Cranford halts the column at a small stream cutting through the road. The water is shallow, barely a trickle over smooth stones, but the sound of it is enough to ease chests too tight with marching. 10 minutes, Cranford calls. Water, check gear, no helmets off. Mercer kneels beside the stream, cupping water into his mouth. It's cold enough to sting his teeth. His reflection wavers in the rippling surface. Eyes darker, jaw thinner, beard beginning to shadow his cheeks. The boy he remembers from Maryland is fading, replaced by someone sharpened by weeks of combat. Lawson crouches beside him, splashing his face. "Feels like we've been walking since the beach," he mutters. "We have," Mercer says quietly. Lawson lets out a short, humorless laugh. "Yeah, guess we have." A group of local children watches from the ruins of a farmhouse across the road. Barefoot, clothes patched and too thin, eyes too old. One girl holds a small accordion against her chest, clinging to it the way Mercer clings to his photograph. Cranford approaches them slowly, hands visible, rifle slung. He speaks to them in broken French, voice gentle. One of the boys points east toward a ridgeline covered in dense hedgerow. Cranford's jaw tightens. He returns to the men. Scouts saw German movement near the ridge, likely an outpost covering one of the approaches to St. Lo. He kneels in the dust, drawing lines in the dirt with a stick. We take it before nightfall. Small position. We move quiet. The men listen. No one argues. They no longer need to. The approach to the ridge is slow, careful. Trees block the afternoon sun, casting long shadows. The air is heavy with the scent of crushed ferns and damp soil. Mercer's boots sink into the earth with each step. His rifle is steady in his hands. The photograph presses against his chest, constant, grounding. The ridge rises gently, hardly noticeable until they're close. Then, like everything in Normandy, it becomes a wall disguised as a hill. Roots and brush weave into a thick barrier, a perfect defensive position. The Germans are there. Mercer senses them before he sees them. The air holds a certain tension, a quiet too deep to be natural. Cranford signals. Two scouts move ahead, bent low, rifles at their shoulders. The rest hold still, breath slow, steps frozen. Seconds stretch. A rifle cracks. The left scout falls, face first, silent like a puppet whose strings were cut. The other dives behind a stump pinned by sudden gunfire. Cranford's voice cuts through the air. Covering fire, right side, smoke, go! The field erupts. Mercer drops to a knee, firing controlled shots into the hedge line. Leaves explode. Branches splinter. A machine gun stutters to life from somewhere up the ridge, its rhythm mechanical, relentless. Lawson throws smoke, 2 canisters, white clouds billowing upward, swallowing the lower slope. Advance, Cranford shouts. Mercer runs. The world becomes white haze and shadow shapes, the ground uneven beneath his boots. He trips, catches himself, keeps running. His breath rasps. The photograph presses harder into his chest with each stride. The first German appears through the haze, helmet a dark silhouette. Mercer fires. The shape drops. He barely registers the motion now. Muscle memory. Survival. They push up the ridge in bursts. Fire, move, fire, move. The smoke thins as they rise. The machine gun nest comes into view, a sandbag emplacement built into the earth, camouflaged with netting and torn burlap. Ames would have led this charge, but Ames is gone. Mercer feels the absence like a bruise. He and Lawson exchange a glance. No words. They break from cover, rushing the nest. A German soldier rises, wide-eyed, grabbing for his weapon. Lawson reaches him first. They crash together, rifle stock slamming, boots slipping in loose soil. The struggle is sudden, brutal, close. A grunt, a gasp, a single shot muffled by proximity. The German collapses. Lawson stands, panting, jaw shaking, but alive. Mercer places a hand on his shoulder, steady, firm, anchoring him back to the ground. The machine gun nest is theirs. The ridge is theirs. And the route to St. Lo opens, just a little. The sun is setting when they regroup near the top of the ridge. The fields below stretch out in shades of deep gold and bruised purple. Far in the distance, smoke rises from St. Lo, a dark smear against the horizon. Cranford stands with his arms crossed. His voice is quiet. We hold here tonight. At first light, we push again. He doesn't have to say it. Everyone knows. St. Lo will not fall easily. Mercer sits beside Lawson at the base of a shattered oak. The bark is rough and warm from the sun. They share a canteen, metal against metal, the sound familiar now. You ever think about how it was supposed to be? Lawson asks softly, watching the horizon. Mercer turns to him. How's that? You know, France, romance, wine, music, picnics. Lawson huffs a laugh. Funny how different it looks. Mercer doesn't laugh. He takes the photograph from his pocket. Eliza. The apple tree. The smile that never dims in his memory. It'll look like that again someday, Mercer says. Lawson watches him for a long moment, then nods. Yeah, he says, yeah, maybe it will. The sky darkens. Stars appear, dim through smoke but present. Mercer closes his hand around the photograph. Come home to me. He intends to, but St. Lo waits ahead. And St. Lo will demand more than the orchard, more than the fields, more than the night fires. The war is tightening, the path is narrowing, and the photograph is all that remains warm. July 9th, 1944. Outskirts of St. Lo, Normandy. It is no longer a city. St. Lo stands before them, or what is left of it, like the bones of something once living. Buildings are shattered shells, walls leaning at painful angles, windows blown out like empty eye sockets. Streets are buried beneath stone, timber, horse carts, twisted metal, and what remained of ordinary lives. Artillery did this. Days of it. Nights of it. Relentless rolling thunder that shook the ground and peeled roofs like bark. They had shelled St. Lo to break the German defenses. They had broken St. Lo itself instead. The men of Company E stand in the remains of what was once a wheat field. The wheat is gone now, burned, flattened, blackened into ash. The silence that blankets the ruins is worse than gunfire. Gunfire has direction. Silence is everything at once. Cranford kneels beside a road sign, half buried, charred, bent nearly in two. St. Lo, 1.3 kilometers. He tucks the map away, looks at his men, speaks quietly, but his voice carries, "We move street by street. Do not assume empty buildings are empty. Do not stay in the open. Move with cover. No heroics." Lawson mutters under his breath, "In this city, cover's a luxury." Mercer doesn't answer. His hand rests on his chest, on the photograph, an unconscious gesture now, something his body does for him. The advance begins. They enter St. Lo through what was once a southern lane. Now it is only a trench of broken stone. Mercer steps over the remains of a bakery. Brick ovens shattered, flour sacks split open and mixed with dust and ash until it forms a pale, ghostly film across the ground. A sign hangs by one bolt, creaking with each faint breeze. Boulangerie. Fresh bread daily. No bread now, no ovens, no shopkeepers, just the bitter sting of smoke still trapped in the stone. Every building they pass tells another story, and every story ends the same. Lawson keeps pace beside Mercer, eyes constantly moving. Windows, rooftops, door frames, piles of rubble tall enough to hide a full squad behind. Hard to believe people lived here, Lawson murmurs. They still do, Mercer says quietly, because he sees them. Not soldiers, not fighters, civilians, the ones who could not run. A woman with hollow cheeks and a dress torn at the seams, clinging to a child too still and too quiet. An old man sitting beside a broken wall, looking at nothing, hands resting on his knees like he is simply waiting for something that will never return. A teenage boy staring at the Americans with eyes that have seen more than any soldier should. Mercer looks away, not because he does not care, but because caring feels like drowning. A single gunshot snaps the air. Then another. Short, controlled, sniper. Lawson drops behind a low stone barrier. Mercer follows, rifle raised, heart pounding, not from fear of dying, but from the cold clarity of being hunted. Bullets punch into stone, sending dust across their cheeks. Cranford signals, 2 fingers, left flank. Mercer and a small team move along the collapsed facade of a church. The bell tower leans, its bell exposed and scorched, hanging silent like a throat without a voice. A flash in an upper window, the glint of a scope. Mercer fires, glass shatters. A body slumps forward, falling into the rubble below with the soft, almost gentle sound of fabric against stone. The street is quiet again, but the quiet feels thinner now, tense, held together by threads. They push deeper. The further in they go, the more the city closes around them. Streets narrow, debris forming walls of its own, shadow pooling in corners. The air grows hotter. Not from sun, from fire still burning underneath collapsed walls. An entire city smoldering from the inside. Mercer wipes sweat from his brow. It stings. Salt and smoke and grime. Lawson suddenly stops. "What is it?" Mercer whispers. Lawson points. "A courtyard, or what used to be one. Now only broken stone and a single tree, its branches scorched but still holding leaves. And at the base of the tree, bodies, not soldiers, not posed, just left." Mercer closes his eyes, not in prayer, just to be able to open them again. Cranford says nothing. No one says anything. They move on. Near the center of the city, the resistance stiffens. German machine gun fire tears through the street from a fortified barricade of overturned carts and sandbags. Pinned, Company E scatters into doorways and shattered storefronts. Mercer and Lawson slide behind what remains of a painter's shop, frames charred, easels cracked, canvases turned to ash. A single tin of oil paint has melted into a thick smear across the floor, bright blue in a world gone gray. Cranford signals the assault. Mercer's heartbeat steadies. Everything slows. Lawson nudges him, breath thin. "We go fast. We don't stop." Mercer nods. The company surges. Grenades arc. Sandbags explode. Shouts, English-German, collide. Mercer clears the barricade with three others. Movement precise, trained, automatic. The German position falls. Smoke hangs low. Dust swirls. When the street is still again, Cranford walks forward, boots crunching on gravel and broken tile. "We take the town hall," he says, "then St. Lo is ours." But no one says at what cost. They don't have to. They can all feel the weight of it pressing down like the heat. Night falls heavy. The men take positions inside the remains of a stable. The roof is gone, but the walls still stand. Mercer sits in the straw, smoke blackened, brittle. Lawson sits beside him, arms draped over his knees. Neither speaks for a long time. Finally, Lawson says quietly, "You still carry it?" Mercer nods. Lawson doesn't ask to see it. He doesn't need to. Mercer does anyway. He unfolds the photograph with slow, careful hands. Eliza, the apple tree, the sunlight from a world that still exists somewhere. Lawson closes his eyes. "Hold on to it," he says. Mercer nods. "I will." He must, because there are fewer pieces of himself left to hold. And the war is not done, not even close. St. Lo has not yet fallen, and tomorrow, the city of rubble will demand more. July 18th, 1944. Dawn bleeds slowly over St. Lo, turning the city's broken stones a color like rusted bone. The air is heavy with dust and smoke, a haze that clings to the skin and blurs the horizon. Nothing moves at first. Not the wind, not the birds, not even the clouds. Just silence. A silence that feels like the city is holding its breath. Company E waits along what was once a main avenue. Now it is a corridor of shattered masonry and twisted beams, the pavement buried under rubble. Fire smolders quietly in the shell of a collapsed roof. The smell, burned wood, scorched plaster, and something far worse, settles deep in the lungs and does not leave. Cranford stands at the front of the formation, helmet low, rifle slung across his chest. "Today," he says quietly, "we take the town hall." He does not raise his voice. He doesn't need to. Every man hears him. They know the town hall is not just a building, it is the last anchor, the final knot tying the German defense to the city. If it falls, St. Lo falls, and the road to the interior of France opens. Cranford gives the signal. They move. The streets are a labyrinth. Rubble, collapsed walls, burned-out carts, telephone wires tangled like roots. The Americans move in pairs, leapfrogging from doorway to doorway. Every window is a threat. Every pile of stone could hide a rifle barrel. The German defenders fight like men who know they are the last line. Rifle shots crack from upper floors. Shouts echo down alleyways. Grenades bounce and clatter inside broken archways. Mercer advances behind Lawson, the two of them wordless now. Communication by movement, by instinct. They have done this enough times. They know each other's pace, timing, breath. The first machine gun nest is positioned on a balcony overlooking the square. The gunner sweeps the street in controlled arcs, bullets chewing into stone and sending fragments flying like sharp, angry insects. Cranford calls for smoke. Grenades roll. White clouds billow. The air turns opaque. Mercer and Lawson sprint across the open stretch. boots hammering broken stone, lungs burning with the acrid taste of smoke. They slam into the wall below the balcony. The stone is rough, warm from sun and fire. Lawson whispers, "Up!" Mercer nods. They climb, hands finding purchase in cracks and broken mortar. The building wall crumbles beneath their fingers, sending dust into their teeth. The balcony rail is bent and warped, but they haul themselves over in one motion. The gunner turns. Too late. Mercer fires once. The body falls backward into a pile of plaster. Lawson grabs the MG-42, swings it toward the square, and lays down suppressing fire for the advancing squads below. The city shakes with noise, rifle cracks, machine gun bursts, mortar thumps, shouted orders. Mercer reloads, heart hammering so hard his chest hurts. He ducks low, scanning windows across the way, looking for movement in the shadows. His breath comes fast, too fast, but he forces himself to slow it. In through the nose, out through the mouth. He touches his chest. The photograph is there, always there. It steadies him. Cranford signals forward again. The push tightens. The town hall looms ahead now, its once grand facade shattered by artillery. Columns cracked, roof half collapsed. The statue out front, some local figure cast in stone, broken in half at the waist, the top half lying on its back in the dirt like a fallen witness. The Germans are dug in inside. They are not leaving. They do not plan to survive. Cranford gathers Mercer, Lawson, and 4 others behind the remains of a fountain basin. 2 teams, he says. Flanking approach. Mercer, Lawson, you take the right entry. Close quarters. Keep it quick. Close quarters. Mercer feels his heartbeat change. This is the kind of fight where men see each other's eyes. Lawson checks his rifle. We're up. They move. The right side entry is a half-collapsed archway. Smoke drifts through it like breath. The hall beyond is dim, not dark, but filled with floating ash that catches the sunlight through holes in the roof. The first German is waiting behind a toppled desk. Mercer sees the barrel tilt up. He fires first. The German falls sideways, expression frozen in shock. Lawson kicks the desk aside. Footsteps, shouts, a burst of automatic fire from the staircase. Mercer drops behind a broken stone column, bullets snapping past his ear. Lawson returns fire, sharp, controlled. The German rifle falls silent. They press up the stairs, boots slipping on dust and broken mosaic tile. The second floor opens into a wide corridor filled with debris and smoke. A German soldier steps out of a doorway, helmet off, hair matted with sweat. Mercer and the soldier see each other at the same time. Both raise weapons, but Mercer is faster. The body slumps slowly, like falling asleep while standing. Mercer exhales, slow, too slow. The corridor ends at a large chamber, what was once the council hall. The roof is gone, sunlight pouring in. The floor is littered with broken benches and plaster. The German platoon commander stands at the far end, pale, exhausted, uniform streaked with dust. He holds a pistol, aimed, but his hand trembles. He is young, so young it aches to look at him. Mercer raises his rifle. The German hesitates, eyes flicking to the fallen, to the shattered hall, to the sky visible through the broken roof. He lowers the pistol. Just a fraction. A gesture that says, I am done. But the war does not care. A shot cracks. From somewhere behind Mercer. The commander falls. Mercer does not see who fired. The silence that follows is deep, heavy, hollow. Lawson lowers his rifle. It's over, he says, voice soft. St. Lo is ours. Mercer stands still, breathing smoke and dust and something aching and old. Cranford enters the hall through the ruined doorway. He looks at Mercer. Mercer looks back. No celebration, no triumph, just the quiet understanding of what it cost. Hours later, the American flag is raised over the ruins of St. Lo. It flutters weakly in the hot breeze, surrounded by rubble and silence. The men sit along the broken steps of the town hall, helmets off, weapons resting across their knees. Their hands shake when they drink. Their eyes are distant. Their bodies are present, but something within them is still inside the fighting. Lawson breaks the silence first. Feels like we won a graveyard. Mercer nods. He reaches into his pocket. The photograph unfolds in his hands. Eliza, the apple tree, the sunlight of a world untouched. He stares for a long time, and finally, for the first time since Normandy, he lets himself feel it. The weight of surviving, the weight of not dying, the weight of living when others did not. His breath shudders. Lawson places a hand on his shoulder, quiet, steady. "You'll get home," Lawson says. Mercer presses the photograph to his chest. "Come home to me." He intends to. But the war is not done. France is vast. Germany waits beyond it, and there are miles yet to bleed through. July 21st, 1944. Field encampment north of St. Lo. The clouds are low and heavy, gray like unpolished steel. The air smells faintly of rain and spent gunpowder, though no shots are fired today. The front has shifted eastward. For the first time in weeks, Company E is not advancing, not assaulting, not bracing for a counterattack. They are waiting. Waiting for orders, waiting for supplies, waiting for courage to return. Men mend uniforms, clean weapons, sleep where they sit. A medic wraps Lawson's shoulder. Shrapnel caught him the night St. Lo fell. He brushes it off like a splinter, jaw tightening only when the tape is pulled tight. Mercer sits on a wooden crate outside what was once a farmhouse, but is now just 3 walls and a scorched chimney. A field kitchen simmers somewhere nearby. Thin stew, onions if they're lucky, nothing if they're not. He reaches into his breast pocket. The photograph slides out as though it knows his hand. Eliza's smile is worn now, faint at the edges, but it endures. His thumb moves along the creases, smoothing, remembering. He pulls the writing pad from his pack. He begins the next letter. July 21st. St. Lo is behind us now. The city will have to learn how to breathe again. I don't know how long that will take, maybe years, maybe longer. But the people there are strong. They have lived through more than I have, and I have seen plenty. I want to tell you about the orchard again, the one near Colville. The apples were still green back then, not ready to fall. I keep thinking about how they'll ripen this month, how maybe the branches will bend under their own weight. I wonder if the harvest will be good. I wonder if anyone will be there to pick them. I miss home. I miss your voice. I miss quiet spaces. I miss the kind of silence that doesn't have bodies in it. He pauses. The page swims for a moment. War fatigue, lack of sleep, something heavier. Lawson sits down beside him, chewing on a biscuit so hard it might as well be wood. "You writing again?" Lawson asks, tone casual, though his eyes flicker with something gentler. "Yeah," Mercer says. "Good," Lawson replies, mouth half full. "Means you still remember where you're going." Mercer exhales, not quite a laugh, but close. He returns to the page. "There are days when I forget what I looked like before this. When I see my reflection, I don't recognize it. But when I look at your picture, I remember the boy you knew. And I am trying, every day, to be him again." He signs his name. He folds the letter carefully. He tucks it into an envelope addressed in the same neat handwriting he has used since childhood. The mail truck is parked near the road, olive drab, dented, canvas tarp patched and repatched. A corporal sits atop the hood, smoking lazily. His job, it seems, is to wait until the last possible moment before collecting letters, because soldiers are always writing one more sentence. Mercer stands, walks. Each step feels heavier than gear or rifle. He hands the envelope over. The corporal takes it without ceremony, without reverence. He has handled thousands, maybe tens of thousands. Letters to sweethearts, wives, children, parents, friends, ghosts. Some will reach their homes. Some will be returned stamped KIA. Mercer hesitates before releasing it. The corporal notices, and his expression softens just a fraction. "Don't worry, Private," he says. "The mail always tries its hardest." Mercer nods. He lets go. The envelope disappears into a canvas bag already filled full. It will travel by truck, then by ship, then by rail, then by road, then into her hands, if the war does not swallow it along the way. That night, rain begins. Soft at first, barely a whisper on canvas and tin. Then steady, cool, constant, almost soothing. The men shift under ponchos, but no one curses. Rain means no marching. Rain means no attack. Rain means sleep, or something like it. Mercer lies on his back under a half-shelter of tarp and broken beam. Lawson beside him. Cranford somewhere nearby, sitting with his map in the dark. The rain sounds like home, like roofs and windows and early morning chores, like orchards. Mercer closes his eyes, but sleep does not come clean anymore. He drifts, floats. The war moves inside him now, a tide that doesn't stop when the guns do. He sees Brewer, the orchard, the farmhouse, the Panzer in the night field, the town hall, the commander who lowered his weapon. He sees Eliza beneath the apple tree, sunlight warm, hands clasped gently. She says nothing, she just looks at him. And in that silence, Mercer feels the truth he has not spoken. He is afraid of forgetting who he was when he was hers. At dawn, the rain stops. The sky is pale. Orders arrive. Tomorrow they move east, toward the next town, toward the next ridge, toward the next line of fire. The war continues. Mercer wakes, sits up, breathes in the damp morning air. Lawson stretches, wincing at his shoulder. Cranford closes the map, and Mercer reaches into his pocket. The photograph is still there, worn, creased, alive. He touches it gently, as though touching her. Come home to me. He intends to, but the road ahead is long, and he does not yet know how far he will be asked to carry this promise. July 28, 1944, near Saint-Pierre-sur-Vire, Normandy. The war does not speed up, it grinds. A slow, unbroken press of days into weeks, hedgerow to hedgerow, ridge to ridge, road to road. Company E moves like a tide that never fully recedes. Exhaustion has become normal. Hunger, familiar. Sleep, a currency spent in seconds, not hours. The land east of St. Lo rolls gently. Soft pastures, quiet creeks, clusters of willow trees leaning over slow-moving water. Looking at it, a man could almost believe peace lived here once. But the earth remembers differently. There is a river ahead, narrow, calm, deceptively calm. Cranford speaks quietly among the squad leaders, pointing to the opposite bank. That bridge is mined. The Germans wired it before pulling back. They'll watch it. Expect us to try it. Mercer studies the bridge, stone arches, narrow rail, silent. Lawson squints. So we don't cross there. Cranford nods. We cross in the water, downstream bend, knee to waist height, mud bottom, current moderate. Lawson murmurs, moderate means lose your boots if you're unlucky. Mercer breathes slow. He has crossed worse things than water. The company moves into the tree line, quiet as they can manage, packs tightened, rifles raised clear of potential submersion, boots sink into wet earth. The river sounds peaceful, gentle lapping against the bank, dragonflies drifting lazy in the warm morning air. The kind of sound that feels like it belongs in another life. But the meadow on the far bank is too open, a killing field. Cranford raises a hand. The company halts. Mercer steps forward to scout with Lawson and two others. The riverbed is soft, cold mud gripping ankles, water up to their thighs. The current presses with slow persistence, one of those quiet forces that never stops pushing. Each movement is deliberate, silent, measured. Halfway across, Mercer feels it, that prickling sense behind the spine, the instinct sharpened by days of being hunted. He stops. The others freeze. There, in the tall grass of the far bank, a shift. Subtle. A shadow that is not wind. Mercer lifts a closed fist, signal to halt. Lawson sees it too now. Jaw tightens. Cranford whispers from behind, barely audible, "Mark the coordinates, we'll flank." But the Germans move first. 3 rifles rise from the grass. A machine pistol snaps up from behind a log, and a single command is shouted in German. "Feuer!" The river explodes. Bullets tear through the surface, throwing spray into the air. Mercer dives, the cold swallowing him whole. Mud fills his hands. His helmet slams against a stone. He pushes up, gasping, water running off his chin. Lawson fires from a half-crouch, water streaming from his sleeves. "Left bank! They're close!" Mercer braces his rifle against his shoulder, chest half submerged, and fires into the grass line, shapes moving behind stems and stalks. The water churns with each impact. Cold, violent, alive. Cranford shouts, voice steady as steel. Push forward, use the river for cover, advance by twos. Company E rises and moves. Not out of courage, but because stopping in the water means dying in it. Mercer lunges through the current, 1 step, 2, 3, feet sinking deep. Each step a fight. He reaches the far bank, boots scraping against mud and stone. He throws himself behind a fallen willow trunk, chest heaving. Lawson collapses beside him. His gum is gone. His breath is ragged, but he grins anyway. A broken, exhausted grin. Hell of a bath, he breathes. Mercer almost laughs. Almost. The gunfire slows. The Germans withdraw, not in panic, but practiced retreat, falling back toward the village road. They are buying time, buying distance, buying another day of war. Cranford moves among the men, voice steady. Check wounded, ammunition count. We move again in 15. Mercer leans back against the willow trunk. The bark is damp, the shade cool. For a moment, just one, he lets his eyes close. But memory is loud in the quiet. He is back in the orchard. Eliza is there. The sunlight filters through leaves, warm and dappled. She stands close enough to touch, hands folded loosely in front of her, eyes calm. You came home, she says again. But this time, there's something else in her voice. Not joy, not certainty. Hope. Hope trembling on the edge of fear. Mercer reaches for her, but a gunshot cracks the dream like glass. The orchard vanishes. He is back at the riverbank, rain clouds gathering, distant artillery rumbling like thunder. Lawson watches him quietly. Night hits harder now, Lawson says softly. Mercer nods once. There is no need to explain. Somewhere down the line, a soldier begins to hum. Low, steady, familiar. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when. The melody drifts across the river like smoke from a campfire. Mercer reaches into his breast pocket. The photograph is damp now, edges curled but unbroken. Eliza, the apple tree, the promise. Come home to me. He closes his eyes. He breathes. He stands when Cranford calls the company to move. Because forward is the only direction left. And the road runs east. Toward forests, toward borders, toward Germany. Toward the part of the war that has yet to change him in ways he cannot imagine. But he still carries the photograph. And it still carries him. August 3rd, 1944, near Tessy-sur-Vire, Normandy. The rain has stopped. The mud has not. The roads here have dissolved into thick, clinging earth. Brown, heavy, tire-deep. Tank tracks cut long trenches through it, filled with murky water that reflects the gray sky. The air smells of wet wheat, diesel, and smoke. Always smoke. Company E marches along the roadside, boots sinking with each step, uniforms stiff with dried river mud from the crossing. The men are leaner now, faces sharpened, movements quiet. They walk single file. No one speaks. The war has taught them the value of silence. Above them, the distant growl of engines rolls like thunder. Not German. American. Operation Cobra, the breakout from Normandy, has begun. The bombers came first. Mercer watched them from the ridgeline that morning, dozens upon dozens of B-17s and B-24s moving in slow formation like steel clouds. The ground shook as they unloaded, long ribbons of explosions rippling across the German lines, tearing hedgerows, shattering stone, throwing earth into the sky. Now the artillery follows, constant, layered, relentless. It feels like the earth itself is trying to shake the war off its back. Lawson walks beside Mercer, boots squelching. His shoulder is healing poorly, bandages spotted with brownish red. He does not complain. The gum is back in his mouth, though no one knows where he keeps finding it. Ahead, Cranford raises a fist. Halt! The men crouch along the roadside, rifles ready. Through the smoke and fog, the shape of a Sherman tank materializes, a 75mm barrel jutting forward like a finger pointing east. A tanker sits half out of the hatch, goggles around his neck, face streaked with engine grease. Roads clear to the crossroads, he calls down, but Germans are dug in along the ridge beyond. Second Armored will punch through. You boys follow and clean up what's left. Cranford's jaw works once, he nods. No bravado, no cheers, just acknowledgement. The tank rumbles forward, treads grinding through mud. A column of armor and half-tracks trails behind, the ground vibrating under their weight. The breakout is happening. This is the moment the stalemate ends. Cranford turns to his men. We move behind the armor. Stay tight. Watch your fields. We push until they break. Lawson mutters, or until we do. Mercer almost smiles, but does not. They advance. The tank column hits the ridge first. German guns open up. POC 40s, dug into camouflaged berms. Shells whistle, scream, and burst, sending dirt geysers into the sky. The first Sherman takes a round to the track, metal spraying outward in jagged shards. The crew bails, scrambling behind hedgerow cover. Company E hits the ditch along the road, firing up toward the ridge. The slope is steep, grass slick from rain, dotted with craters, roots, and the sharp smell of torn earth. "Push up," Cranford calls, though his voice is nearly lost in the thunder of artillery. Mercer climbs, boots sliding, fingers digging into roots to keep balance. He fires between breaths, short bursts, careful aim. The German soldiers on the ridge fire back, helmets barely visible behind mounded earth and shattered brush. Lawson scrambles beside him, slipping, catching himself, firing, cursing, breathing hard. The ridge is 20 yards, then 15, then 10. Grenades arc overhead, both sides. Explosions kick up dirt so thick Mercer tastes it. Cranford is up ahead, pulling himself to the crest. A round snaps past Mercer's cheek, so close he feels wind on his skin. He drops behind a small outcrop, chest heaving. Lawson collapses beside him, gasping. "Tell me," he breathes between clenched teeth. "Tell me again why I didn't become a baker." Mercer wipes dust from his eyes. "Because you can't bake." Lawson laughs, a short, ragged sound, and stands to fire again. Cranford reaches the top first. "Move!" he roars. Mercer and Lawson push the final feet, hands grabbing dirt, boots finding purchase, breath hammering in their ribs. They crest the ridge and tumble into the shallow German trench. The first German is already raising his hands. He is young, always young. Helmet askew, eyes full of exhaustion, shoulders slumped as if he has been surrendering for miles. Mercer holds his rifle steady, not out of hatred, but because war has taught him precision. The German speaks quietly, in English accented but clear. "No more," he says, "no more." Mercer nods slowly. His trigger finger loosens. Lawson takes the German's rifle and gestures him toward the rear. The fighting on the ridge collapses quickly after that. The German line breaks, not all at once, but like a rope fraying under strain. One squad falls back, another drops weapons, a third melts into the tree line. The ridge belongs to Company E. The world changes when they reach the top. Below them, the countryside stretches wide, hedgerows thinning, fields opening, roads branching like veins. This is the end of Normandy's walls. The land ahead is open country. A highway for armor. A straight road into France. Cranford stands beside Mercer on the ridge crest. The wind catches their uniforms. The smoke-traced horizon flickers with the rumble of engines. "This is it," Cranford says quietly. "We're through." Mercer doesn't answer with words. He reaches into his pocket. The photograph unfolds like a heartbeat. Eliza, the apple tree, the smile that does not fade. Lawson stands on Mercer's other side, gaze distant, weary, but somehow lighter than yesterday. "Feels like something changed," Lawson says. Mercer nods. "It has. The war ahead will be faster, harsher, more unpredictable. But they are no longer trapped in the hedgerows, no longer suffocating inch by inch. They are moving again. Forward. Toward something. Toward home." The wind picks up. Warm, carrying the scent of dust, fields, road, and faint summer. Mercer closes his hand around the photograph. "Come home to me." He intends to. August 18th, 1944. South of Le Mans, moving fast. The breakout from Normandy has become a tide. American armor rolls ahead day and night, engines roaring, treads grinding, exhaust hanging thick over the roads. Infantry follow in long, dusty columns. Faces sunken, boots raw, uniforms stiff with dried sweat and road dust. Mercer rides in the back of a deuce-and-a-half supply truck, knees drawn up, rifle between them. Lawson sits across from him, chewing his gums slow, jaw working in rhythm with the engine rumble. The countryside blurs by. Fields of late summer wheat, vineyards flattened by tracks, villages with shutters closed tight. It's faster now. The war moves like a river in flood. No more hedgerows, no more inch-by-inch suffocation. But fast war is not easier war. It's only louder. The truck stops near a crossroads where a field post has been established beside the road. 2 tents, a table, crates of rations, stacks of ammunition, and a canvas sack marked U.S. Mail. "Mail call," a corporal shouts over the engine noise. The men step down, boots hitting dust like anchors. Mercer waits, not because he expects anything, letters take weeks, but because waiting has become habit. Lawson leans on the truck fender, arms crossed, watching the line shuffle forward. Then, the corporal reads, "Private Daniel Mercer, Company E, 116th Infantry." Mercer freezes, a soundless moment. He steps forward. The corporal hands him not 1 envelope, but 3. The first is the one he wrote weeks ago. He recognizes his own handwriting. "Returned, stamped in red. Undeliverable, recipient not found." Mercer's breath catches, sharp and small like a fracture inside the ribs. Lawson sees it. His jaw stops moving. He steps closer, quiet now. Mercer turns the envelope over. The address is correct. The town name is correct. The route number. Everything. Except the postmark. The postmark says, "Evacuated. Postal Service unable to forward. Region affected by conflict." The war has touched the place he left behind. He opens the second envelope with hands that are steady only because they know how to be steady under fire. The letter inside is short. "Dan, we were moved, not far. They said the farm was too close to the coast. Said it wasn't safe. I am staying with my aunt for now. I don't know how long. I don't know when I'll be able to write again, but I will. I hope you're safe. I hope your heart is still your own. Eliza." Mercer presses his eyes shut. Lawson doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. The third envelope is smaller, thinner, old paper, the kind used when ink is rationed. He opens it last. "Dan, every night I go outside and I look at the apple tree, even if there are no apples this year. I stand there and I picture you walking up the road back to me. I don't know when that will be. I don't know what the world will look like when it happens, but I believe in it. Don't lose yourself. Come home, Eliza." The handwriting wavers at the last line, not shaky, just human. Mercer folds the letter very slowly. His hands do not tremble. He takes the photograph from his breast pocket, not quickly, not reverently, but like a man who has done this every day of the war. The photograph is creased now, corners soft, image faded just slightly from sweat and sun. But Eliza is still there, standing under the apple tree, looking at him. Lawson finally speaks, voice quiet, rough. "She's still out there," he says. "That's what matters." Mercer nods once, the smallest possible motion, and something unfamiliar moves through his chest. Not relief, not certainty. Resolve. The lieutenant calls for movement. Engines start, tracks grind, boots find their pace again. Mercer climbs back into the truck, the letters tucked inside his jacket over his heart, beside the photograph. The war moves, and he moves with it. But now, he carries something steadier than memory. A direction. That night, when the convoy camps in a field dotted with hay bales and tire ruts, Mercer writes again. Not because he must, not because he promised, but because something inside him needs to speak back. August 18th. I got your letters. All of them. I know you had to move. I know things are uncertain. But listen to me now. I am coming home. I don't know when. I don't know how far the road will stretch before that day. But I am walking it. Every step. I am not lost. Keep looking at the apple tree. I'll be there. Dan? He folds the letter carefully. He does not hand it off. Not yet. He keeps it one night, close to him, warm from his own heartbeat. Then in the morning, he sends it. The war rolls east, and Mercer follows, not because he is commanded, but because someone is waiting. December 19th, 1944. Southern edge of the Ardennes forest. Snow falling in slow, soft flakes. Winter has remade the world. The green fields of Normandy, the golden wheat near Le Mans, the dusty roads south of Paris, gone. Now the landscape is white and quiet and bitter cold. Snow piles thick on fir branches. Breath hangs in the air like smoke. Footsteps crunch and vanish under more snow. Company E is no longer large, no longer loud, no longer anything like they were when they left the beach. New replacements march alongside the few who remain. Young faces, faces that have not yet learned how to be still behind the eyes. Mercer walks near the front, scarf pulled high, helmet dusted white, rifle slung but ready. Lawson is beside him, arms still stiff from the shrapnel months ago, jaw set against the cold. The war has changed shape, the enemy too. This is the Ardennes, and the Germans have launched a final desperate offensive. A last winter gamble, a punch thrown by a boxer already falling backward. Snow muffles sound, it hides movement, it erases footprints, it breeds ghosts. Cranford calls a halt near a cluster of pine trees where wind has carved the snow into soft, sloping drifts. His breath clouds as he speaks. Dug-in German machine gun nest ahead. We take it. Quiet. Fast. Then we move before they regroup. Lawson exhales a white plume. Quiet in this snow? Might as well ask the forest to applaud. Mercer almost smiles. Almost. The men spread through the trees, boots silent in the powder, breath slow, steps measured. The cold makes everything sharp, focused, precise. Mercer's hand rests against his chest. The photograph is there, always there, but folded now inside a small piece of wax paper. Kept dry, kept safe. He touches it the way some men touch rosaries. Ahead, through the white hush of the trees, comes the metallic click of an action being pulled, followed by the low murmur of German voices. Cranford signals. Mercer and Lawson move first. They crest a small rise, snow brushing their knees, and find themselves looking down over a shallow depression where 3 German soldiers huddle around a small brazier, warming their hands. Their rifles lean in a neat row nearby. Steam rises from tin cups. They do not see the Americans. Mercer lowers his rifle slowly. Something inside him stirs. These men are cold, tired, human. Just like him. Lawson whispers, "We take them." Mercer nods once, but something stops him. The youngest German looks up, not at them, not even toward danger, but toward the snow drifting down. His face holds a softness Mercer recognizes. Not innocence, just memory. The world he had before the war. For the briefest moment, too brief to hold, there is no ridge, no orchard, no shell fire, no night fields, no burning cities. Just men, cold, far from home. Then a crack of a branch under someone's boot shatters it. The Germans turn, reaching for rifles, shouting. The world slams back to war. Mercer fires. Lawson fires. Cranford's squad cascades over the rise. Snow explodes upward, white powder mixing with red. The brazier tips, flames hissing out in the snow. Silence returns. Not peace, just silence. Lawson breathes hard, hands shaking, not from cold now, but from the fierce impact of living 1 second longer. Cranford scans the tree line. We move. Their company won't be far. The men fall in. Boots crunch, breaths cloud, snow falls. The war moves again. That night, they shelter in the remnants of a hunting lodge, stone walls still standing, roof half collapsed. A small fire flickers in the corner, barely enough to warm hands, let alone bodies. Mercer sits near the embers, drawing his knees in. Lawson sits across from him, rubbing his hands together. "You still have it?" Lawson asks quietly. Mercer nods. He reaches into his coat. The photograph unfolds carefully, edges worn now like paper-thin fabric. The image is faded in places, but she is still there. Eliza, the apple tree, the world before. Lawson watches the photograph for a long time, quiet, thoughtful. "You know," Lawson says softly, "I think that picture kept you alive more times than your rifle did." Mercer looks at him. Lawson's voice is almost a whisper now, almost lost to the crackle of the small fire. "Don't ever lose that." Mercer presses the photograph to his chest. He will not. He cannot. "Come home to me." He breathes once. Deep, steady. Somewhere beyond the forest, artillery growls, long and distant and rolling like thunder over mountains. Tomorrow they move again. Tomorrow the war continues. Tomorrow he will still be here. But tonight, in this cold, broken place, in this moment between battles, the photograph is warm. And that is enough.